Hello, I'm Dr. CDCS, and this is Battlestar Galactica Scattered Hopes. This is the demo for the game. It just recently came out, and I thought I'd check it out. It's slated for release later in the year, and it's being developed by Alt Shift, who also did Crying Suns, which I haven't played myself, but I heard it's very good. And it's also being published by dotemu, whose other game I recently showed on the gaming channel, which was Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War. So they're not only doing Starship Troopers, but they're also doing Battlestar Galactica, which I think is pretty interesting. But yeah, this plays like an FTL kind of experience where you're managing a fleet as you're trying to make your way to, well, the Battlestar Galactica, because you're not playing as the Galactica. You're not as the Galactica. You are not a Battlestar. You're a Gunstar. I guess you're a smaller version of what a Battlestar is. I don't know much about the lore of Battlestar Galactica, but I guess you don't really have to. I mean, there'll be certain concepts I'll be like, okay, I'm not exactly sure what this is, but I mean, I don't think you have to be too in depth to the lore of Battlestar to be able to understand how this game works. That being said, there is a tutorial if you want to get your feet wet. A link to the Steam store page will be in the description below. I did do that prior to making this recording because, well, I originally recorded that and I felt I don't think people would want to watch me just rehashing the beginning of the game, since it's very linear, it's very planned out. Whereas the demo does allow you to make a new run, and it'll bypass the beginning stages. It'll give you a chance to play the game, a small portion of the game, and experience a run, I guess. So on one hand, there's a lot of replayability to this demo. So if you're interested, definitely check it out or add it to your wish list. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I recently hit 100 subscribers. I'm extremely happy about that. But yeah, it does help the algorithm. Let's begin and take a look at this game. Let's first take a look at settings. And before we look at settings, I should point out that I did look and see on the Steam store page if there is any declaration of AI, and as far as I can tell, there's nothing. So with that, let us take a look. So under settings, you have various gameplay options. For the most part, I don't believe I changed anything. So everything is standard. VSync, I mean, it's already enabled to VSync, which is fine. You have various sliders to play around with. For volume, you have quite a few hotkey options, and you can rebind. I think you can rebind. Yes, you can rebind. Language options. It also has Twitch integration. I guess if you're streaming this, you can connect your your Twitch account, and I guess you can have chat influence your ability to make decisions. So that'd be cool. All right. Start a new game. This is the tutorial run. You can see I put in quite a bit of time on this. But yeah, it kind of, I don't know if it's a glitch or intentional, but there were some issues after I went out of it into the real game. I lost some, I don't know, again, it could have been on my end, but there were some abilities that I had on my I'll show it later, but for some reason they were disabled. They weren't working right. So that's another reason I'm really glad that it allows me to make a new run. So let's start a new run. And you can see here that if you start a new run, you can actually start the tutorial if you want. You don't have to, if you don't want to. So that's a nice little touch, not forcing you to have to do this every time you want to start a new game. I don't know what any of this means because it was not addressed in the tutorial, so you don't even see this. So Lord's favor, Demeter favor, Hermes, and Artemis favor. I guess this is for maybe future runs, or it's included in the demo. It might be. Actually, it doesn't say it's not blocked or anything, so there might be quite a bit of replayability to this demo. But we're going to start a new run. There's also a compendium here, which I guess the more you play the game, the more it unlocks. So these are things I've unlocked. A few of the things I've unlocked while playing the start of the game, the tutorial. So let's just start a new run, and you can choose between the Wanderers, which is a balanced fleet, which has a mining ship and a botanical cruiser. So the mining ship allows you to gather resources, I would wager, and the botanical cruiser, I believe, is for supplies. I'll show more of it as we enter the game. What is assist mode? It was designed to be a challenging game. However, if it makes your experience less enjoyable or inaccessible, you can enable assist mode. Weak enemies, weaker and frail enemies, or weakest and frailest enemies. Huh. Interesting. There's no way there are achievements in a demo, right? I don't think that's a thing. This is not available in the demo. The convoy. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, obviously. But just to show that, yes, you can, in the full release, you will have different types of ships, which is kind of cool, but here's our default. One thing I did not realize was that I thought this was the name of the ship, the Callisto, which I thought was weird because that wasn't the ship in when you do the tutorial. That's not the name of the ship, so I was very confused. But this is a Callisto class Gunstar, so the class of ship is Callisto, which I thought is weird because they usually put the name of the ship on the side here, not the type of ship. Which, I mean, I guess because you are... Well, you know what? I don't know. I mean, they could have put something else there, but, you know. I guess you are the Callisto class Gunstar Callisto in this case. All right. So we have an ability here called Old Tech. So all repair costs are reduced by 33%. And yes, you will be repairing. It's going to be an interesting balancing act because the devs... I think stress more than once in the tutorial that this is a survival game and you have very few resources to play around with, so you got to make them count whenever possible, and you're going to have to make some hard choices about what you can and cannot do during your run. I guess that's what the assist mode is, if you want to make it a bit easier. So the side panel here, it shows you the type of ship. We are the Claymore. That's the name of our ship. We are the Claymore. And I'll show those little panels that you can see underneath: scrap emergency recycling, crop emergency heart early. I'll talk about that later. We also have two ships in our fleet, the Lucan and the Holly Blue. We have 3 squadrons, a Viper squadron, a Raptor squadron, and a Wolf squadron. I don't know what a Wolf squadron is, but it's there. We have these are the weapons we have available on the Gunstar itself. We have flat cannons and nuke launchers, and these are our abilities. We have this reduced repair cost. So let's just jump in and start the game. Oh, I should point out that and when you start the game, it actually shows you an intro sequence similar to the original TV show. Not the original TV show, but the remake. And I left it in there. But I wasn't too sure if I should keep that in there because it probably will get flagged on YouTube. So, because I think it's exactly line for line, same lyrics, same voice as a TV show. So that will definitely get flagged, I think. All right. So here's your Chief Tech, Fatma Perez. I believe it generates a new Chief Tech or different hero unit every time you start a new run. So you're never going to see not never going to see the same person, but you don't see the same person every time you start a new game. But right, this takes place, I believe, just after the end of the tutorial, where you get a message, you find a message, and you discover it's from the Galactica, who's telling anyone who's surviving to meet up with them and that there's a plan. Wait, yeah, well, they might have found salvation. I shouldn't say a plan. Fatma Perez. Commander, I know you must have a million things to worry about, but something in the eyes of your chief tech says she's in way over your head. Way over her head. One thing I will point out, I do love the way this pixel art looks. I love the aesthetic here. It's very nice. Right before we left the colonies, one of the soldiers shot a hydroponic farmer, thought the man was a Cylon. So the message also mentioned that Cylons can now look like humans. So that is kind of what happened here. The start of every game, I guess there's some kind of incident that happens. And each one is different, I guess, because this is different from... during testing just before I went live, I started a new game just to see what would happen, and the initial start was different as well. It was two different factions were fighting amongst each other, and you had to decide what to do. So right before we left the colonies, one of the soldiers shot a hydroponic farmer, thought the man was a Cylon. The whole CIC goes silent. Workers are afraid of the soldiers, and in turn afraid of you, Commander. Do you have doubts about your command? Your exo steps forward. In his voice, anger, lack of sleep, fear of fighting the unknown. What were they expecting? A trial? Puh! None of the soldiers on this Gunstar would accept that. Not one. We're all afraid. Panagiotis? That's a name. Colonel Fedorov. Our goal is to reach Commander Adama and his fleet. How we do it is entirely in the hands of our commander. The workers just want to make sure it won't happen again. They want to make sure they can trust your command. So you got to deal with the factional infighting as well. So there's military, there's workers, and I believe there's the underworld. So you gotta cater to their needs, I guess. So we have to choose an option here. So our soldier was in the right end of discussion. So if we do that, military will be happier. What was that? Yeah, factions with fleet influence can create useful opportunities as long as you maintain a fair relationship with them. Be careful. Faction offers always come with strings attached. The greater influence, the more dangerous it is to make an enemy. So if we do this, the military will be happy and the workers will be a bit angry with us. I don't know what the relationship is with us. Is it fair? Well, it won't be happy. Someone's not going to be happy. We will suspend the soldier to reassure the farmers and appease the fleet. So if we do this, the workers will be happy and the military will be unhappy. So we'll suspend. Your relationship with the faction or its influence in the fleet has changed. To know more about the current status of the factions in the fleet, you can hover over or click on the fleet status summary here at any time. Locked for now tutorial. Oh, here. So there they are. You can see the fleet status. Workers, military, underworld. And you can also see healthcare and maintenance costs. Alright, so it wasn't too much of a hit. I hope. Alright, so here we are. This is kind of... There's, I guess, 2 phases, maybe 3 phases to the game. Where this is one phase where you got to do the fleet management. The other is the tactical side. And I guess the third would be whenever there's dialogue, something you have to make a decision upon. So yeah, this is our main fleet screen, and this is our ship's name, the Basilisk. We also have the Viceroy and the Andronicus, and as you can see, we have resources here at the top. This is Tilium for making jumps. This is supplies, and this is scrap for creating things. We also have 2 nukes. Keep in mind, you only have 2 nukes. Whether you make more or not, keep in mind that you only start again with only 2 nukes. So only use them if you really need to it's an absolute emergency. Because I thought during the tutorial that it's 2 nukes per tactical situation. No, it is not. You get 2 nukes. Yeah, maybe you can find more. Anyways, hull bar. This is the hull of the Gunstar, and this is the fleet health. This is the state of the population of the crew in your fleet. So, you got to make sure they stay healthy because people get sick, and you got to deal with that. I think we have an incident here, which you can see here. You can actually see that there are a couple of incidences here, but the most important thing I think on the screen is this. The bottom right corner tells you how many turns you have before combat begins. So you can see we have a 9 here. That means we have 9 opportunities to handle situations here. So we have 2 situations here in the form of there are 2 things we have to deal with on this ship. And we also have 4 things here on the side. We have, given the system we're in, I assume we're in a sector right now. So we've left Caprica. The tutorial takes place in Caprica. We're currently in Lucia. So we have 4 opportunities here to do something, whether it be gathering resources or anything else, something to buff up the fleet. But each time we do it, make a decision, it takes a turn. And you can see here on turn 6, we're going to have a crisis here. So crises, they're called crises and opportunities, I believe. So in the case of this, a crisis is something that happens within the fleet that you must address. And when a crisis does happen, it does cause, as far as I can tell, it does cause some sort of penalty. Some overall penalty is imposed on the fleet until you fix it. Or I guess resolve it. And you'll be able to see a little quest, a little marker, a little quest log you can bring up to tell you exactly what you need to do. So you're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with that in 5 turns. So right now we've got this is the main fleet area. We also have our heroes here. Your heroes, you put them in. You can use them towards resolving these incidences that you have here, whether it be planetary scouting, resource management, resource gathering. You can put your heroes on there, and they'll gather experience so they can level up. We also have the interiors of the Gunstar. So we have a hangar here. So the hangar shows you your different fleets, and you can see here that, or squads, I should say, and you can see very beautiful pixel art. I do enjoy the look of it. Very nice and clean. So you can assign a hero to one of the squadrons. So if you assign a hero, you can see that this is the CAG. So the CAG has a power-up for squadrons. As long as this hero is deployed in a squadron, all allied squadrons gain 3% damage per hero's level. That's great. So we're going to plop you in there. So you're assigned to that. We also have the weapons hangar. We have the squadrons and weapons side. This is for the Gunstar's abilities. So we have assigned flank and nuke launcher. So we can have an assigned flank. I mean, on the offensive flank, we can have someone who has a weapons ability. You can see here, our XO has a weapons power-up. As long as this hero is assigned to the Gunstar weapon, the Gunstar gains 4% damage resistance per level of this hero. All right. So we'll add that hero there. The nuke launcher will... We hope we can use it sparingly. We don't have to use it. I mean, for the purpose of this video, we will use it. Just to show you what it's like. We also have the R&D lab. The R&D lab is where you obviously research and get new advancements. In order to make advancements, you need scrap. Scrap is the resource that's most important here. So right here, we can level up our fleet logistics. It'll cost us 72 scrap, but it'll increase the maximum health of the fleet from 17% to 33%. And our current fleet health will go up by 25%. We could also increase our hull and reinforcements level. It'll increase the maximum Gunstar hull points by 15 and 10% to squadron hull points, which is not bad. Can't do that. It's way too much for squadron. You only start off with 2 squadron docks. And if you want to unlock more, it's quite pricey, but you know, it's there. You can also upgrade the Gunstar if you want. Weapons. Ooh, for a third weapon. It's pretty pricey. Right now, I think I'm going to increase the... You know what? I'm going to hold off on this. I'm going to wait until I resolve all the stuff in the hull in the fleet management side, and then we'll see what we end up with here. All right, let's go to the bar. The bar is interesting because the bar allows you to have dialogues with different characters, and hopefully, if you choose the right thing, it can improve their morale. So yeah, and also very beautifully. I love the art in this game. The pixel art is great. Character designs, they're okay. You step into the Gunstar bar. Sad faces and empty glasses all around you. Some customers wave at you, happy, surprised perhaps to see you there. You wave back. Once per sector, you can start a conversation with a faction member or a hero. So let's sit down with... She's our XO, I believe, right? Or is she tech? She's the tech boss? You grab the bar stool next to Fatima Perez and sit down. A nod of greeting, a gesture of the hand to order, a sip in silence. Then the conversation begins. For some reason, Perez is chatty tonight. A long day of problems, obstacles. When the glasses are finally empty, you exchange a look. You didn't do much, but it's impacted Perez. Whenever you need detailed information about the fleet to take a decision, you can check your fleet summary here at any time. Alright, so we can click this, you can see the fleet summary. Here you can access all fleet items as well as your current fleet upgrades. Click left, click on any of them for more detailed information. Alright, so you can see here, this is how many jumps we're going to make until we make it supposedly to the Battlestar Galactica. I don't know how long this demo is though. But you thank Perez for the evening and her morale will improve. Perez smiles in return. And there you go. I think that's the only one you can deal with. So we talked about R&D. We talked about the hangar. We talked about the bar. So that covers that portion. And now we have to resolve these following incidences before we can initiate our combat section. The combat phase, I should say. Okay, so let's start. What do we want to do for our first, I guess, move? Let's take a look at, well, let's take a look here. So you can see on this, this is the bio ship, the ship that deals with... Actually, if we click out here, we click on the ship itself. It's a botanical cruiser. And the effects of the ship, if you train the crew, you can obtain 3 more supply per jump. It's a level 1 ship. What was that? The civilian defense ship could be picked to be a part of the civilian defense. If picked, it'll take part in the sector escape battle to prevent Cylons from attacking other civilian ships and allow a safe ATL jump. Okay. So this is its current HP. If this gets reduced, you'll start seeing situations pop up because at certain thresholds, certain critical issues will start arising. So you got to resolve those when they happen. So you got to make sure your ships stay tip-top. So you can also train the crew. That'll take a turn. You can spend a turn to train crew, and they'll gain experience. But right now, so we also have the mining ship here. So if you level this up, it'll be able to provide 30 scrap per jump. And here's the Gunstar. The Gunstar, like I said, I was going to show this earlier, but you can see that you can repair the ship here with this button, take some scrap out. And you can see here 3 options here for emergency. So scrap emergency recycling, crop emergency plant early harvest, tilium emergency refining. So the tutorial mentions that this is stuff you might want to do when you've exhausted all your options for resource gathering and other things that you have to resolve, and you have extra turns. You could probably use those extra turns before combat begins to invest in getting some extra resources. So it takes a turn, but it's a pretty cheap way to gain a few resources. It does take, like in this case, it takes 2 turns just to get 20 scrap, or in this case 2 turns to get 3 supply. The returns aren't great, but it's better than nothing. This is basically something you save usually for the end before combat, but if you're planning out something and you can see that, hey, It'll take me 2 turns if I use it right now to gain the 20 I need to get an unlock that I could use before this crisis pops up. Then yeah, so you could be a bit strategic with how you want to plan your moves out. But yeah, you can also see your heroes here. You can see Panagiotis Fedorov, or Exo. His health. He also has an XP bar. I think the more you use them towards any of these incidences or resource gathering missions, I guess we'll call them missions, you'll get XP, and they'll be able to level up and get their own abilities. And this is your CAG, and this is your Chief Tech. Your heroes, you have about 7 on the panel you can have. And let's start off. Let's see what this is. Distribute supplies. Negative situation. Avoidable for 8 turns. Time will pass, situations will progress, and the silent threat will draw a little closer. If you avoid this, you lose 40 health to the fleet. Or you can spend 1 hero point. You can use a hero, make them use it. Use the hero to distribute supplies. If you do this, the hero won't be available for these types of missions, but it'll save you 4 supply. I only have 8. So let's take a look at, was it this one? No, it was this one. This one. Distribute supplies was the first one we looked at. This one is fixed minor damages. If we leave it alone, we're going to lose 200 hull points to the Viceroy if we avoid it. Or we can use a hero to fix it, or we spend 4 supply to fix this. And I'll take those. Those will be our first 2 turns. Or we could gather supplies. You can see an ice comet here. Water is extremely rare in space, but sometimes the gods are not on our side. So we could either spend 1 point of Tilium, which is right here, so we'll go down to 2, and we'll gain 7 supply. Or we could gather 10, and we had just to spend 1 Tilium, but we use the hero and use the hero point. And the hero will be used for that turn. We won't be able to use it for anything else. But you'll gather a few more resources. So you pick one of the options. So you can see here there's a big balancing act of what you want to use your resources towards. In the case of here, we can either obtain 3 Tilium or 4 if we use a hero. Here you can gather a new auxiliary system if we do this, or if we put a hero, we'll gain an auxiliary system, which is these little abilities here. The auxiliary systems, as far as I can tell, so we have a base one right now, which makes our cost cheaper. But as far as I can tell, the auxiliary systems are systems you can choose when you get the system, you can choose to say, I want to keep it or I want to scrap it. If you choose to keep it, as far as I can tell, I can't seem to find a way to uninstall an auxiliary system unless you come to like some sort of store to get rid of it. Because the first time I got this option, it was an option to, I think it was like, it gave some bonus, but at the cost of removing one of my hangar decks. So instead of having 2 ships to launch, I only had 1, and it proved to be a huge mistake on my part, and I couldn't get rid of it. So just be a fair warning, read the description of what the auxiliary system does before you choose to. You can't like store it. It becomes used. As soon as you accept it, it becomes a part of your systems, and you have to be careful, especially if it's something that might be something you don't want. So severed ship bridge. The wreck of a larger ship with only the bridge remaining. It may contain advanced systems we could use. So we could obtain an auxiliary system, and there's a chance to get something that's a guaranteed uncommon or higher rarity if this point of interest... Oh, so they're called POIs. Yes, they're called POIs. If this point of interest is resolved by a hero. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a hero. We're going to take the CAG here. Oops. How do I do this? You select... and you pick one of them, and we'll say salvage, and let's see what we can get. A new auxiliary system has been acquired, the kinetic accelerator. All Gunstar weapons gain 15% damage. Okay, that's a good one. I'll take it. Alright, so we got a 50% bonus to all our auxiliary systems. We also got a turn use, so we're now down to 8 turns. And now An issue is requiring our attention, so something's happened. Sir, I have a report that the underworld plans to redistribute the belongings of those who couldn't join the fleet before our escape. Workers find the idea appalling and prefer the items to be passed to relatives or friends. What should we do with those belongings? Oh, man. So we could either choose to side with the workers, side with the underworld, or we just take it for ourselves. We could just get 5 supply out of it. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. You know, let's try to balance it out, make sure everyone stays happy. So we made them happy last time, let's make them a little unhappy. Of course, sir. Hopefully they'll recall this decision the next time a conflict arises. Okay, so we dealt with that. It didn't take away a turn, though, which is nice. So we have another POI. We have 4 POIs to deal with. We have another ice comet. We could obtain some supply at the cost of a hero. A shipwreck. We can either obtain 39 scrap, or if we use a hero, we'll get 72 scrap. Let's actually... I have 2 incidences that need resolving here. It'll cost me all my supplies. If I do this and use all my supplies, I'll have nothing. But I could get 10 back by using a hero. So we can do that. Let's fix the minor damage. Distribute the supplies. So I have no supplies now. However, we can get... Oops. We'll use a hero. We'll use Fatima. On... No, not the Tilium. Is it Tilium? It was supplies. Ooh, that was a mistake. It almost happened. We'll see if we can get the 10 supply. Alright. So we have 1 more turn before the crisis starts. Let's use our last hero move. I hope I don't need a hero move for... I'm calling it a hero move. I don't know. I forgot what it's called. But we'll just get an extra bit of Tilium. And we got the 4. And now here comes the crisis. Your urgency needed urgently in the CIC. So let's go to the CIC. It's called a breath of fresh air. Your chief tech enters the CIC wearing a gas mask, but as she sees the fear it sparks in everyone, she removes it at once. Sorry. Sir, as our chief so kindly illustrates, we're having issues with our air filtration systems across the fleet. We have multiple reports of people feeling weak and collapsing on the job. Respiratory illnesses on the rise too. Our entire air filtration system has been working on and off since we left home. A glitch, probably because we've been offline. Basically, dust has been accumulating between the filters and it's impacting everyone's health for the worse. R&D can help find a solution, I believe. Come up with some kind of an upgrade to take care of this. Sounds costly. Now is not the time to repaint the walls, Sergeant Perez. Sir, we can't just distribute additional respirators and medication until the situation improves. No, can't we just distribute additional respirators and medication until the situation improves? That should be enough, no? Commander, that wouldn't address the problem. Besides, an upgrade could be a game changer for the fleet, and not just for this particular issue. So, we have a choice we have to make. We could either choose to get R&D and finding an upgrade. It's more expensive. Or we can just distribute respirators and medication. This choice will start a crisis. Resolving the crisis requires that you go through several steps, each one with its own set of objectives. There are 2 types of crises stakes. Cancel. They'll continuously affect the fleet negatively until they're resolved. Avoid. They will affect the fleet negatively if the crisis has failed or expired. So... This choice will allow you to bypass the crisis right away. That means you will have to find a way to deal with the crisis without having to be directly involved or sustaining its effects, but at a cost. Choosing to either directly deal with the crisis over time or bypassing it now is a major strategic choice that depends on the state of the fleet and your evaluation of the risks. Take your time to select one of the two choices. So if we do this, we can bypass it, but we'll suffer a 30% loss to supply costs for 2 sectors. And if we choose this, we'll have a fleet issue problem. 30% to all fleet health losses until we get this solved. So get R&D on this to find an upgrade ASAP. More expensive, but the devil I know is better than the one I don't. We'll get R&D on this. We'll see if we can research this. You got it, sir. So here's a crisis and opportunities. Here's a crisis. So step 1. Reach level 2 and Gunstar upgrade hull reinforcements. So, alright. Let's go with the R&D. Hull reinforcements. We need level 2. So I need quite a few bit of scrap. I have 90 scrap right now. See, that's why it's a good thing I didn't spend my money. I didn't spend the scrap. So I could get 39 now. Oh man, it's too bad I don't have a hero. Unfortunately, I don't have a hero. Otherwise, I would have gotten plus 72. Let's just grab it. All right, that gives me 129. There are no more POIs or situations to resolve. You can still invest turns in Gunstar emergency training or in civilian crew training. All right, so first things first, though. Let's see. Let's do this. Go level 1. I barely have enough for level 2. All right, we'll do it. Level 2. Breath of fresh air, crisis solved. Well, look at that. Sir, R&D is taking care of the infiltration problem with their new systems upgrade. New filters should be operational across the entire fleet as we speak. All they did was basically put in a few new air filters, sir. Let's not act like they invented the FTL engine. Well, they solved the issue, didn't they? But that's not all. They also freed up numerous respirators and gas masks that were being used for this issue. How would you like to redirect these items, sir? Alright, so give them to the shuttle pilots, they'll need them, so the military will be happy with us if we do that. If we give it to the underworld, they'll be happy. Or we could just keep them and get 5 extra scrap. Let's give it to the military. On it. Alright, so we resolved that somehow. Now we have 2 turns left, so we can use those 2 remaining turns, like I said, to invest in scrap. We can actually spend the last 2 turns and get some extra scrap. Or extra supply, or extra tilium. Gunstar and civilian ships can sustain critical effects during battle when they take damage. That's what I meant by these threshold markers. The colored triangle under the hull bar represents the different critical effect thresholds. When a threshold is crossed, the ship will spawn a negative situation in the next sector fleet management phase. The situation intensity will depend on the threshold. The closer they are to 0 hull points, the more serious they become. To avoid triggering critical effects, try to avoid triggering them, basically. To minimize risks, you can repair your ships when their hull points are too close to the threshold, upgrade the critical systems installation and from R&D, and protect your ships during battle to prevent them from taking too much damage. Alright. So, which one is that? Critical... Oh, here it is. Oh, -1 effect on the Gunstar. Okay. Interesting. But we only have 9 scraps, so we're not going to be doing much. Crisis solved. Indeed. Is there another person in the bar? No. Okay, so let's use... We have 3 turns. Okay. So what do I want to do with my 3 turns? Let us train the crew. Let's get 30% extra scrap per jump. Or I can get 20 now. Let's get a level 1. Another what? Another situation. While doing inventory in the Gunstar, military officers came up with some supplies that were unaccounted for. They would like us to have them, Commander. Probably just a way to show their content with our current relationship. Oh, look at that. But maybe you want to exercise caution. Ordinarily, I'd be reluctant, but we need the supplies. Just take them. Right away, Commander. We're the military. Why would we be worried about them? They're us. We're them. All right, let's do that. And one last boop. Here we go. Dratus contact. So management is now over. Oh, I didn't get the... Oh, was there another one? Okay, well, that's fine. All right, that is the end of fleet management. Now it's time for the battle. Can you save in the middle of... No. No saves come. All right, fine. Fair enough. So imminent battle. So checklist. Repair ships and squads. Assign heroes to squadrons and weapons and hangar. Level up squadrons and heroes. Fleet. Upgrade the fleet in R&D. And select the civilian defense. I haven't done civilian defense, have I? There we go. 2 civilian ships will be selected to take part of the civilian defense. They will take part in the sector escape battle to prevent Cylons from attacking other civilian ships and allow a safe FTL jump. Okay. There we go. Did I assign everyone? Assigned hero. Assigned hero. R&D's done. All right, let's start. And here comes the next phase. So we have to say, before the phase begins, we have to tell where do we want to jump. Kind of like an FTL, sort of, in the fact that you do it at the end of an FTL sector. You decide where to jump. Here it's like before you begin the fight, you have to tell where do you want to go to. Do you want to go to Trinai or do you want to go to Talith? Talith has multiple things we can deal with. This one only has 3, but Talith seems to have quite a bit more. So we'll go to Talith. Okay, it's now tactical pause. This is the deployment phase. You can see here at the bottom right here, we have the FTL drive. We have 2 minutes on the timer. We have to basically survive for 2 minutes while the FTL jump is spooling. And we have to make sure that the fleet doesn't blow up. So let us deploy our squadrons. The Viper, you left click to select and right click to deploy. So the Viper is our movable ship. It's very, very fast. It can get around the battle area, the battlefield pretty quick. And this is our workhorse. This is the one that we want to be out and about. So we'll deploy that. The Raptor, as you can, I don't know if you can tell, but it has a pretty long gun on its side. It's kind of our long-range railgun in a way. So we have to deploy it in, deploy it. I would use the Raptor. You can deploy a different ship if you want the Wolf, but we will deploy the Raptor. I keep right-clicking by accident. Okay, so you deploy it. And you want them to kind of be stationary because they're kind of like the long-range unit. So they also have a larger AoE. They have a longer range, I should say. So you'll see that when they get spawned. Actually, you can see that right now. You can see a little small square. You can see the the Raptor has a bit of a blue circle around it, pretty large. That's its area of effect. If anything comes into range, it'll auto attack it. So it's tactical. It's got a pause to resume. So it's also got an auto pause, which when things happen, instances happen, the game will automatically pause. It's also very important that you keep track of this timer. During the tutorial, I had complete tunnel vision, didn't realize what was going on. I was so fixated on the fight, I completely didn't realize the timer was telling me you need to jump now. And when you jump, you got to dock your ships, otherwise you're gonna lose them. All right, here comes the first squad. The Dratus does allow you to see ahead of time where enemies are spawning in, so you have about 5 seconds. So we need to get the Raptor a bit closer. And the Viper... So the Viper has an ability called Hunter's Dash. All right, let's... that was probably a mistake there. There you go. Send the Viper there. Reposition the Raptor to encompass both the Gunstar and the 2 civilian ships. Okay, so this is a Tempest fighter, which I've not seen before. Seems to be a higher caliber fighter. Got it, though. Alright, so we're going to move the... Basically, it's a game of positioning as you're waiting for this counter to dwindle down. Oops. I'm going to move the Viper here, and I'm going to move the Raptor slightly there. It's nice that it does telegraph your enemy's spawn points. They are all going for the Viceroy. It's time for me to use my flat cannon. So you can see the flat cannon, when you choose it, it's showing you where the enemy ships are going to be as you're moving the reticule. It doesn't have a long range. You can't like hit this ship, but you can get most of them. Keep in mind, friendly fire is a thing in this game. You do not want to hit your own units when possible. Whoa. Got it. Okay, good. We got the flak on that. Here comes the next 2 Tempest and a Raider. So keep in mind, when you use a flak, you got a cooldown. You can have power-ups or enhancements to reduce the cooldown through hero upgrades and other things. But yeah, you got to wait. Okay, we're coming in. Got it. 1 minute and 7 seconds left until jump. Bunch of Raiders and a Tempest. Alright, guns are coming in 5 seconds. Tempest again should be the priority, right? The Viceroy is under attack. You can, if you don't want to get a pause every time something happens, you can turn this off with the auto pause feature. I'm keeping it on, especially after the... Oh, no! Oh! Oh, what's this? Alright, so I'm gonna use the guns. Plop it there. Alright, we got them slowed down. We took out the Tempest. We took out all of them. Excellent. 30 seconds. Oh, this is a big one. 2 Tempests. A Raider and a Tempest. Oh boy. Alright. Okay. FTL's ready in under 10 seconds. Damn it. All right, we need everyone to get back now. FTL is ready. We got to jump. All ships. Land. Get in. Yes, got it. Because of the dev. Okay, we got through critical threshold. On pause. Okay, so we got some damage. But we did get out of there. The Basilisk took some damage. Well, not as much, but the Andronicus did get a critical threshold, as did the Viceroy. However, we did get some blessings, and the fleet is one step closer to the Galactica. Choose your blessing. So, Forged in Battle, the squadron gains 30 XP for the Viper Squadron, or oh, dang it. So, one thing I wish this game did have is the ability to choose and confirm your choice. I feel like that's something that a lot of games lately that I've been playing don't have that option anymore. You really need to confirm your choices. You need to have that option there. But we did pick something to repair a ship. I think that was the one, because you would otherwise have to repair it in the fleet management thing, and this was an instant repair, so we don't have to spend points on that. All right, fleet status is nominal, Commander. The entire Gunstar goes quiet for a second as the FTL drive enters its cooldown state. Fracking silence, always on our back. You nod quietly. Your exo is right. This isn't normal. We need to get away from the colonies, away from all known routes. Go quiet until we can reach the Battlestar Galactica. Agreed. Should we start looking for the next potential sector to jump to, Colonel? Affirmative. We need to get away from those toasters. You know it's the right answer. It's protocol even, and yet it still feels wrong and spineless. Alright, so the Viceroy was hit by a silent missile. Passengers are injured. And because of the damage taken during battle on your civilian ships or Gunstar, one or more critical event thresholds have been crossed, spawning negative situations. Protect and repair ships often to avoid suffering critical events. So you can see that we got some... We have to spend some points here, unfortunately. We have to spend some supplies to solve this. But yeah, that's basically how this game works. You have a fleet management side. You got to resolve those. You got to gather resources, do some spend points on repairing or dealing with critical events. As they arise, you can see there's another one that's coming. Another crisis is going to pop. It happens every turn. I guess every phase, I should say. And yeah, there's combat. You can see here we have like 5 things to deal with here. There's another bar situation. And yeah, that seems to be how the game works. Pretty straightforward. It's once you get used to the mechanics, it seems pretty easy to learn. Now, does this have the legs of, say, FTL? I guess, I don't know. I mean, I am liking the idea of it, the concept of it. I will say though, there were a few things like I was having issues sometimes. You could see that there was it's more technical issues that I was having. You could see during the fight that the Viper was chasing enemies, which is what you wanted to happen. You wanted to, within range, you wanted to chase Cylon units. But when I first finished my tutorial, some issue cropped up where I couldn't assign heroes to squadrons or the Gunstar, and they wouldn't do their abilities. I had to manually tell them to attack every time, and I couldn't figure out why that was happening. But those are more technical issues. Those are things that possibly, I mean, if it's not some option I turned off, then it's definitely something that probably could be patched. But other than that, I mean, the basic idea of it is pretty cool. I do like it. I mean, I'm liking what I played. This demo seems to have a lot of replayability to it. If you want to if you want to try it out yourself. But I think that gives you a good idea what the game is like. I think we've almost hit an hour on this video too. So I guess we'll call it here. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. I usually stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/DrCDCS. I usually stream older stuff, but, you know, I'm trying to branch out. That's why I started this YouTube channel. It's been fun. And I just crossed 100 subscribers. I'm very proud of that. So thank you so much for the support. And yeah, that'll do it for me. You know what? I'm gonna spin the supply and fix this. That was my bad. I should have fixed that. another event. Well, yeah, you know what? It's fine. But thanks so much for watching this video. And yeah, and watching to the end. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.